Tune into ESG Matters with Risk Insights, where we explore ESG with impact. Hi, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to another episode of ESG Matters with Risk Insights. I'm your host, Anushka Bogdanov, and as we step into 2025, ESG is at the center of heated global debates. These debates challenge its relevance and value. But for Africa, ESG is not just a buzzword. It's a pathway to sustainable growth, resilience, and opportunity. Today, I'll unpack the global shifts in ESG and the controversies surrounding it. Let's address the elephant in the room. Global skepticism around ESG, particularly in the USA, could reduce the momentum for stringent ESG practices. Development funding tied to ESG can dwindle, and some investors could deprioritize emerging markets like Africa. Globally, the ESG conversation is polarized. Some of the major banks like Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, that were part of the 140 banks from 44 countries with assets under management of $74 trillion have exited the Net Zero Banking Alliance, NZBA. Amongst this upheaval, we have the African banks that have held firm. 3 African banks, Commercial International Bank in Egypt, Investec in South Africa, and KCB Group in Kenya, continued their commitment to aligning lending and investments with net zero emissions by 2050. CIB even serves on the 12-member NZBA steering group representing Africa in this global conversation. Africa's participation in these alliances demonstrates our readiness to shape the future of ESG rather than just simply following. It also highlights the need for frameworks tailored to Africa's realities, ones that balance climate goals with poverty alleviation, resource equity, and economic development. In the USA, the incoming Trump administration's rollback of ESG policies is seen as a direct repudiation of Biden's climate agenda. Yet this creates a clearer pathway for the private sector to innovate outside regulatory mandates. Companies like Tesla, led by Elon Musk, highlight the complexity of this debate. Musk's criticism of ESG frameworks targets greenwashing and bureaucracy, not the goals of ESG or sustainability itself. In Europe, the EU remains a stronghold of ESG principles, with ambitious initiatives like the Green Deal and CSRD. But even Europe isn't immune to the backlash, as protests against green policies gain traction. Still, European investors remain committed to sustainable funds, signaling a strong market demand for ESG-compliant solutions. In Asia, China is poised to fill the void if left behind by the US, strengthening its position as a leader in renewable energy and green finance. Southeast Asia, meanwhile, is focusing on regional collaborations to sustain the ESG momentum, despite fears of reduced international funding. If there is a rollback, it could have major implications on investment flows. Asset managers and investors could divert funds away from ESG-compliant products, which could lead to an increase in investor uncertainty if ESG policies were reversed, reducing confidence in markets which are tied to these policies. Traditional energy sectors such as oil, gas, and coal could see a resurgence in investment and growth, benefiting from relaxed environmental regulations, while renewable energy could face declining investment, slowing the transition to green energy. Industries with high carbon footprints may experience less pressure to innovate or transition, impacting on long-term competitiveness. Reduced pressure to transition to low-carbon operations might lead to adjustments, increasing the risk of stranded assets of the future. Companies with poor ESG ratings might face reduced pressure in the short term, but higher risks as global investors seek to avoid such assets which will impact on valuations. Rolling back on ESG policies could lead to higher emissions, exacerbating climate change and increasing long-term risks like extreme weather events, together with economic shocks. Countries with strong ESG commitments might decouple from the US in policy and trade, leading to a fragmented climate action when the world needs to stand together. It may also lead to countries with robust ESG commitments like the EU, which may impose carbon tariffs or other trade measures, creating economic and further geopolitical friction. The risk of the US stepping back from ESG leadership could leave a gap, potentially filled by regions like the EU or China, which could alter global influence and dynamics. ESG integration into the financial system was tied to mitigating systemic risk, like climate risk and social unrest. A rollback of the ESG agenda could increase vulnerability to financial instability and may yield short-term financial gains for certain industries, but may potentially result in long-term economic, environmental, and systemic risks. The global transition to ESG principles appears to be gaining irreversible momentum, with financial markets increasingly prioritizing sustainability. Africa can lead by crafting ESG frameworks that are not just reactive, but transformative. We can integrate local contexts such as managing our vast natural resources sustainably while addressing social equity. This is where tools like risk insights, Africa-centric ESG models become critical. So by emphasizing the tangible benefits of ESG, which is better credit ratings, reduced investment risk, and enhanced economic resilience, we can ensure that ESG remains relevant and valuable for our markets. For Africa, the global ESG controversy is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it may reduce international scrutiny and funding, and on the other hand, it gives us the space to redefine ESG on our own terms. Africa can position itself as a pioneer in ESG innovation, creating frameworks that reflect local needs and drive sustainable development. By linking ESG to economic resilience, African governments and businesses can attract investors seeking long-term sustainable returns. Risk Insights has an opportunity to champion African-centric ESG solutions. Tools like ours can help issuers and asset managers meet both local and global expectations, navigating this complex landscape with clarity. So the ESG global debate is not a setback, it's a chance to innovate. Africa doesn't need to just follow the rules of the game. We can rewrite them. Risk Insights is here to lead that charge, empowering African businesses to thrive in a sustainable future. So as we navigate 2025, let's focus on the opportunities. Together, we can ensure that ESG becomes not just a global mandate, but a local advantage, defending the impacts of climate change for social security and a future that takes everyone into account. Join Risk Insights on the 23rd of January for insights into capital management for green banking with leadership from across the globe, including USA, China, South Africa, India, Paraguay, UK, and Russia. To secure your place for this extraordinary virtual event, please find the link in the description box below. I look forward to hosting you at the event. Thank you for tuning into ESG Matters with Risk Insights. I'm Anushka Bogdanov. Until next time, stay inspired and let's keep driving change. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and tell your peers about it. Talk soon and ciao for now.